Interested to speak to an expert in Andrew Killey on the line. Andrew, good morning to you. What do you make of this Nike commercial?
Oh, mate, I think it's a joke.
Yeah.
I really look. I think on two levels. I mean, Nike. I've always been a great fan of what they do professionally. They do everything so right, and they've done something I reckon so wrong. I can't believe it's the same company. But then I just think that, you know, you can talk about that if you like, but it proves to me that as Tiger Woods is the greatest golfer of all time and probably one of the most B-grade people of all time.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, he's just got no good form, has he? I mean, you'd use your dead father's voice and sell it to a sponsor. Come on, son, get a grip. I mean, it's terrible. It's tacky and it's bullshit. I'm sorry, but that's just terrible.
No, we appreciate you calling a spade, or a bullshit ad. Now, Andrew, because you watch it and you sort of think, what are they selling? What are they trying to achieve with this ad? And they're questions a lot of the time the average person can't answer. From an advertising perspective, if you were to try and dig between the lines, what do you think they're trying to achieve here?
Mate, they're trying. I guess what they're trying to do is they're trying to control, like, it's PR in the sense that, at least at advertising, it's paid for and you can control it that way. It's not sort of like, editorial and that, which has got to be someone else is in control of that. Although the problem is now there's a lot of people doing what you're doing, talking to people, and and I would think that as a piece of PR for the brand, I haven't heard anyone yet say, gee, this is fabulous, gee, they've done it well, aren't they great, haven't Nike been responsible, it's all pretty negative stuff, so I reckon it's actually bad luck. Now, it's bad, and I think probably the difference is, we've got to remember, this is made for an American audience, and, it's not for an Australian audience really, although we're watching it and seeing it on YouTube and all that. But it just says something to me about the sort of standard of what people are like in America and what brands are like. They'll do anything, you know.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of the audience, what do you think the target market they're really going for in this ad is? Because I've got to admit, being a woman in her 20s, I really wouldn't say it's me.
No, well, I'm buggered if I know. No, I'm not being kidding. I've watched it now, and I've watched it about 5 or 6 times, and I've tried to figure it out. And the more I watch it, the more I think it's a mistake. I mean, it's just on a sort of, I'd run an ad on the back of a tram ticket, if someone paid me to do it. But I just don't, I think there's some things you just don't do ads on. Yeah. And, I just think it's tacky and it's wrong, and he's a, great golfer, but as I say, he is to sort of human life what I am to golf. Average.
Yeah, absolutely right. We had a discussion earlier in the program about the fact that it didn't quite sit too well with us watching him get a standing ovation, being treated as a hero this morning. I wonder though, Andrew, if we're talking about probably many millions of dollars worth of sponsorship deals between Nike and Tiger. They didn't want to sever that relationship.
No.
Clearly they want to use him going forward. Do they have to acknowledge this issue by way of their ads? Or would it be too soon for them to have said, hey, let's get him bearing a chip shot from 30 yards back in 2005? Could have they done that?
See, I don't think they have to sort of introduce him back. And the one thing I admire about Nike is they didn't drop him, and I mean, and a lot of his sponsors did, and I think, it showed a fair bit of courage and commitment, and, good on them. That was their decision. I would have made it more positive. I would have waited till, I would have done an ad that sort of showed him, and sort of said something like, welcome back to the golf course, or, it's always great to have a great champion playing golf. I mean, Nike's got nothing to do with the things he's talking about, or his father's talking about, or things like that. They're his sponsor because of his sporting prowess. And I think that's a strategic error they've made. They've sort of gone into a sort of a social issue, and I don't think it's their place. I think it'll blow up in their face. I think it's wrong. It certainly wouldn't work in Australia.
What do you think it'll do to the brand?
Sorry?
What do you think it'll do to the brand? Will it have a negative impact, or do you think not much change?
Well, I mean, they're a big corporation, and, brands have good days and bad days. My personal belief is this is a brand behaving badly, and, you know, brands like Money in the Bank, you know, you start giving it away or losing it, one day you end up with nothing. They're a long way off that, but it's just a blunder, a bad move by a great international brand, I believe.
Well, Andrew, can I pose you this hypothetical then? Nike say, you know what, we've blown it with this, we stuffed it up. They ring up Andrew Killey at KWP and they say, dig us out. You can come up with the next campaign. What direction do you go in, given that this has already happened now?
I would just say what I said before. I would make it all about the sport, and I would go back to the fact that the reason Nike are sponsors is it's built on sport, and because the guy is the world's greatest golfer, and he's back, and make it all positive, but make it all about the sport. And because I think, you know what, I really think that sort of people now going, yeah, well, all right, that's happened, and you know, the wife's, I mean, what about the poor wife's thing? This, you know, the ex-wife. I mean, it's just disgraceful. Yeah. It's just disgraceful. You know, anyway.
And I think most definitely too, a lot of the ire directed toward the campaign or this ad has been the use of the father's voice.
Yeah, would any person in their right mind sell out their dead father's voice for sponsorship? I mean, I just think it's disgraceful.
Yeah.
That's the thing that amazes me the most. That any human being could, be so commercial and so lacking in sensitivity and understanding that you do that. I mean, give me a break.
It comes across as very cheap. I don't know if that's the right term, but it's very
cheesy. It's cheesy.
Right? It's exactly right. Yeah. It's very cheesy.
They tried to get rid of that in the black and white, but doesn't quite work. No. You can't make it classy.
That's right. No. Yeah. Well, Andrew, we appreciate your insight this morning, mate. Thank you very much for that.
Okay, guys.
Andrew Killey from KWP, candid in his opinions, and I can tell you too, people from those companies, advertising companies, or indeed in any industry, don't like potting their own. They're very hesitant to say one of us is doing something wrong. But clearly here, the violation has been so great, it's deserved. It's deserved a bit of backlash. And it's interesting hearing from someone who knows. Because as we know a lot of the time, we see ads and go, oh, that's rubbish. But advertising people too know, but they're trying to do this. And they're succeeding at that. Well, clearly, they're succeeding at nothing but offending people with this campaign. It's
definitely a case of the old saying, any publicity is good publicity, I think is very incorrect in this situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
But would it stop you buying Nike now?
Well, no.
Well, there you go. So it may have worked.